Probably the reason I ain't seen you like in 2 days. You say you love me and turn around and you.
What's going on, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and if you was with me before Lil Ron Ron and all my other cartoons, you might have known that I used to do artwork. I used to paint clothing, shoes, a lot of other stuff. So today I had an idea for a custom on some Adidas Superstars. I'll show you. So I did these, hand painted them. So I figured I'd record it so I could show you guys how I did it, and so that you could try to do it too if you want it. It took me like 2 times to record this video because I low-key messed up the first time, but the second time I did it good. So if you see that there's 2 different like places where I'm actually painting them at, that's why, because I recorded it a video like 2 times and took the clips from both of them. So here are the shoes. Let's get into it. I'm gonna show you guys how I did these. Here are all the supplies that I used for this video. Everything is from the Angelus Beginner's Kit. I just ordered the Beginner's Kit since it was my first time doing it custom. I used everything in this except for the black and the brush and the cleaner and stuff. I also need an X-Acto knife, scotch tape, and some scissors. I got all that stuff just from Walmart. And then the stencils come from D Nice Customs Etsy page. Make sure you guys check that out. It will be in the description down below. It comes with everything that you need for the custom. First thing that I did for this was just took out the shoestrings for the shoe and put those away. Next, I got the deglazer. It's like an acetone just to get the finisher off of the shoe, so that once I started painting it wouldn't do like any cracking or anything like that. Next, I just taped off the shoe, taping off all of the areas that I didn't want to get paint on. I just used an X-Acto knife to cut off all of the excess tape on the areas that I didn't want to get paint on. Then you take your stencil and you cut out only the area that you're going to use for the shoe, because you don't want it to be too much on there while you're trying to place the stencil on there. It'll make it difficult. Take your stencil and cut out all of the pieces of the cutout that you would need to put on the shoe. You got to be really careful when you're doing this. It's like a really tedious thing. This part actually took me a while to do. I had to be really careful because a lot of the pieces were kind of small, so I didn't want to mess anything up. It also comes with this parchment paper that you put over the top of the stencil that you just cut all of the pieces out of, and you place it over the top of that evenly. I had about 1 inch of space on each side outside of it. So then I took this card and smoothed out all of the bubbles that I had in there, because if you don't smooth out all of the bubbles, it'll be hard to get the backing off of the stencil. I took my X-Acto knife and cut out around the stencil and the parchment paper. I left about 1 inch space so that I could stick it to the shoe. After that, I slowly peeled the backing off of the stencil. You gotta go really slow when doing this so that it all comes off at the same time, and if you smoothed all of the bubbles out, then it should come off pretty fine. I placed the stencil on the side of the shoe, trying to line it up with all of the spaces of the sole that had the tape on there, and then I just pressed down on it a lot to make sure that the stencil was staying on it, and so that when I start peeling the stencil off, it'll stick to it. This part is really hard, so I tried to peel really slow so that it would stay on there, but as you can see, there's times where I had to like press down on there to make sure that it stayed sticking to the shoe. This is probably the hardest part of this whole thing. I started painting in between the stencil with the red color that came with the Angelus kit, and I just did light coats. I did a couple coats. I did about 3 coats of it. Then for the Supreme box logo, I used the tape and made the box, placing it around the stencil, the Supreme stencil that it came with, so then I'd have a perfect square to place on there. And with the Supreme stencil, I did the same exact thing that I did with the Louis Vuitton stencil before. I followed the same exact steps to put that on there. Next, I slowly peeled the stencil off of it. It didn't come off as clean as I thought it would, but I just ended up taking my paint, the white paint that it came with, and fixing the lines along the designs that didn't really come out the best. Next, I took the satin finisher, or the leather finisher that it came with, and just painted over all of the painting that I did on the shoe.